In today's video, we're talking to you about how to survive your upcoming quarantine in Taiwan. Ready?
Let's go. Hello, beautiful people. I'm Leah.
I'm Justin.
Thank you for joining us and welcome to our channel.
We're an American expat couple that lives and works abroad, and currently we're in Tainan, Taiwan. This is your survival guide to ensure that you have a fantastic quarantine. Now, the reason we've been inspired to make this video, we've been reading some complaints that people have been offering up on Facebook and other social media spaces, and we're just thinking about what it is that they could have done differently to make sure they had a better time in quarantine. Not that quarantine's exciting or anything, but you can make the most of it if you make sure you're well prepared. If you have the right expectation of what it is to quarantine in a foreign country, and if you are sure to take care of your mental health. Obviously, you're going to need to prepare, but you need to make sure you prepare well. And the following is some things that may seem obvious, but may not have been given the consideration that they need. Since you're going to be in this quarantine space for an extended period of time, it is probably in your best interest to make sure you do your due diligence when finding the best hotel room that you can. Now, if you're using a government facility, you don't get much choice into where you're going to be placed, so good luck to you.
Researching is key to finding where you want to stay and what is the most optimum space for you. There are a lot more options for quarantine as Taiwan has added an additional 3,500 rooms to their quarantine roster.
So some things that you need to consider. The size of the room. Size does matter. Am I wrong?
What are we talking about?
The hotel rooms, what are you talking about?
It didn't matter to me, but it should have. It didn't matter to me because the hotel options that I had before these additional rooms were added were all small. They were all, I thought all quarantine hotel rooms were small. My room was 300 square feet. That's it.
So they've gone from just 3-star hotels up to 5-star hotels now too, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think there are some really nice hotels to choose from, so look at what your options are. There may be more than what you realize.
I will say, from experience, do not trust the pictures. If anything, you should probably read the previous reviews for a hotel that you might be interested in.
They have professional photographers that are paid well to make these rooms look much larger than what they actually are. You know what? Not all these hotels have windows, by the way, so you might want to ask and see if you have a window.
If you've watched our previous quarantine videos, we keep making small mentions about does your room have a window? It may not seem like it's a big deal off the bat because usually the quarantine rooms that do not have a window are much lower priced. However, you're gonna be there for 14 days and you're gonna forget what the sun looks like, and it also makes a difference on your mood. So we keep asking, does your hotel room have a window?
I can imagine being in a hotel room that long and not opening a window.
What are you talking about? I open my window all the time.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to, technically.
Who told you we're not supposed to open the window?
CDC. I got them on speed dial now.
I'm looking at that.
Okay, it is true.
You're not supposed to open your window.
Smokers, we're talking to you now. Don't think you're gonna be able to sneak something in the bathroom in the exhaust fan. Room where the window doesn't open doesn't mean you can smoke just because the window does open. However, if you book a room that has a balcony, voila, there's your smoking opportunity. So sometimes you need to go from the budget price to the higher prices to get a room that's actually gonna accommodate your needs.
Another thing that you may want to consider is the stability of the internet. You need to know what your internet needs are going to be for the next 14 days. Are you going to be streaming? Will you be making video calls? Are you actually going to be working from your quarantine hotel?
So the best way to find out how good the internet is to contact the hotel, look at their website, read the reviews and see what other people have said, because that is definitely something that people are going to report on if it's bad. If you find a hotel room that meets all of your needs, but it looks like the Wi-Fi may be a little spotty, you might consider hotspotting off your phone. So make sure when you come in, you get a SIM card that has unlimited data. When seeking out the perfect hotel room, don't let location limit you.
You are not required to quarantine in the city that you're going to be living or working in. You are free to choose a quarantine hotel anywhere in the country. Now we're going to move on to some things that may have been less obvious or things that you haven't considered. There is no guarantee that once you arrive into Taiwan that you will be allowed to leave the PCR test line to go to get Taiwan currency. It is suggested that you take care of this either at a currency exchange in your local city where you live or at the airport before you depart or at your own local bank. You should also be prepared to carry a credit card to use for all your transactions once you're at the hotel. For the most part, your quarantine stay is going to be a cashless transaction.
Let's move on now to amenities. This is something that has come up a lot in people's complaints, and it's some things that you might not have considered. You might want to bring some things that you would expect a hotel to have, but they might not be to your expectation or liking. Like for instance, can you use a shampoo you don't like the smell of for 14 days? What about those disposable toothbrushes that they have at hotels? Are they gonna give you a new one? So you should probably bring things like shampoo, conditioner, so you have your fragrances that you like, the quality of goods that you like, the toothbrush that you prefer, the toothpaste that you prefer, because you may not like the flavor of the toothpaste at your quarantine hotel. In 14 days of gagging while you're trying to keep your pearly whites white is no way to have a successful quarantine. Towels and washcloths, because the concept of washcloth is not necessarily the same here in Taiwan as it is elsewhere. In fact, throughout Asia, we've stayed at hotels where washcloths just were never available. And sometimes the towels you get are itsy bitsy, teeny weeny, not enough to cover up my. So you might want to bring your own set of towels and washcloths. If you require a hair dryer because you need to make that bouffant gorgeous to keep your spirits up while in quarantine, do know that most hotels will provide you with a dryer, but they may only have one that goes around for multiple uses, so it's going to be first come, first serve. Anything you bring into your hotel room, say like a hair dryer that you borrowed, is going to stay in your hotel room for the entirety of your quarantine stay. So if someone else has borrowed that hair dryer before you get to it, what are you going to do? I would also certainly check to make sure that the hotel has laundry service, and if it doesn't, make sure you have access to enough clothing because you don't want to be laying around in stinky Stevies when you need to be making yourself feel good during quarantine. Something that we were surprised to see people complaining so much about was the lack of variety in food. Look, you're in Taiwan, and most quarantine hotels are going to serve you 3 meals a day, but they're going to be Taiwanese meals, okay? Can you live with that? If you can't, hopefully you have access to Uber Eats or Foodpanda food delivery services. The reason I say hopefully is not all hotels actually allow for food delivery at their quarantine locations, especially the government-sponsored hotels. And that's something you need to think about before going into this. You might want to pack a bunch of snacks from your home country if you feel you're gonna have urges and cravings that just can't be met with a bento box 3 times a day.
Not all over-the-counter medications are available here for purchase in Taiwan. If you need medications to help you, let's say, adjust to the new time zone, such as Benadryl or melatonin, you need to bring that in with you.
Arriving in Taiwan with unrealistic expectations of what quarantine actually is going to be one of the most detrimental factors to you having a decent quarantine stay. So get it into your mind what the purpose of a quarantine actually is. This is not a 14-day respite from your home life. This is an opportunity for you to pay attention to your health, listen to your body, and ensure that you're going to be safe once you're allowed to enter into Taiwanese society. And there are many folks thinking because they paid a pretty penny to quarantine that they're going to get all the bells and whistles that you would at some resort hotel stay. This is not what these accommodations are for. These accommodations are set up to ensure the safety of yourself and of others.
And we're saying this because some of the concerns that either have been directly addressed to us or that we have read on various social media posts are actually embarrassing. They're embarrassing to read. All I get is Taiwanese food.
When in Taiwan,
you're in Taiwan. I should have gotten a better hotel for the price that I've paid. Again, this is not a vacation. These are quarantine hotels. These are hotels that have been set aside, contracted with the government to serve a specific purpose, not a resort. Some people did not appreciate the fact that they were actually isolated away from other people when they tested positive during their quarantine.
You're going to be put in the hospital. You're going to be treated as a COVID patient because you tested positive for COVID. How can you complain about that? You should be happy that there's actually hospital beds available for you to get into because many countries don't even have that available to them.
That's such a great point. I've heard that. I've also heard that they were upset that they had to go to the hospital because they didn't have any symptoms. That's the purpose of you quarantining for 14 days.
That's why you take the PCR tests. You may be asymptomatic. Do you understand the science behind this?
If you do test positive while you are in quarantine, you will be taken to a hospital. In that hospital, you have to remain there for 10 days.
Just because you think you're healthy and you feel healthy doesn't mean that you're actually healthy enough to be re-entered into society.
And they're not gonna test you every 24 hours like some people felt like they should be tested for because they didn't exhibit symptoms. There's many other people coming into Taiwan that need those PCR tests. We're not wasting them on you. I'm saying we like we're Taiwan.
I know, well.
We ain't wasting them on you. You will not receive a refund on the unused portion of your hotel if you test positive and go to the hospital. The purpose of this is to put you in a secluded environment where you can monitor your health and you have access to another facility, AKA the hospital, if you test positive.
There's always going to be some risk to traveling during a pandemic, and that's one of them. It's going to be costly, but at least you're going to be taken care of because you're in Taiwan. My buddy bring me a six-pack, we're gonna watch the game while I'm quarantined.
There were people that were actually really angry because their friends could not that they couldn't come to the front desk and drop things off at the front desk, but the fact that they couldn't come to their room to bring them their care package or food or groceries.
And don't think that you can do that at every hotel, especially the government facilities. No one's coming to drop anything off that I'm aware of.
That's true.
Like if you're the government hotel, government facility, you are on restriction. You are a guest in another country. This country has set up its process the way that it has because it wants to protect its citizens and ultimately it wants to protect you as well. So please, come with the right mindset and you'll have a far better stay in your quarantine hotel. For the final chapter of your survival guide to quarantine in Taiwan, let's address mental health.
The truth is that people will process these 14 days in quarantine differently. For someone like myself who's an introvert, being in a small space for 14 days was not traumatic. I actually really enjoyed it. For some who like to have connections to friends and family and people, this 14 days may seem like a lifetime. So here are some suggestions that we have received.
It's not
based
like.
on feedback.
It's not like, it's need. Extroverts need that connection with the outside world. Locking us up for 14 days, you hear the language I'm using, it feels like we're being locked up. I know it's for a good reason, but 14 days alone in a hotel room, even with the best internet connection, you're still gonna find yourself pressed up against the glass looking for love from somewhere. Just say hi to me, talking to the pigeons. You could be lucky to have a mouse in your room. You probably won't because it's Taiwan, it's really damn clean. But if you had a mouse, you could at least make a friend, have a pet. Okay.
My first suggestion, plan ahead. Do not wing it. These are 14 days that apparently make or break some people.
Yeah, it could.
Make sure that you plan to do things that you enjoy in quarantine. Keep stimulated. This is 14 days that you are not gonna have access to things like exercise. So what exercises can you do within quarantine? We have found lots of videos that give you workouts in small spaces on YouTube that you can look at. We also found YouTube videos on the bed yoga.
That was great.
I didn't even know that existed.
Why not?
There's bed yoga.
We used to call it the Kama Sutra, but when you're alone for 14 days, it's just bed yoga.
I don't even know why I bothered doing these videos with you. Okay. If it is important for you to keep in touch with friends and family, do so.
Video chat is key.
Is there that book that you started reading that you didn't finish? Bring it.
Because the tactile experience of reading versus reading on that could be beneficial for some, I think. Smelling the pages, feeling the air flip past you.
Yes.
Yeah. Using it to kill a spider if you need.
Is there a project that you've always wanted to start but you haven't had an opportunity to do so? Got 14 days. Lay out a business plan. Make your move. You can download movies. You could learn a new language.
You could. It would be a perfect time to start picking up the language if you haven't already started doing that. That's a great idea. These are all great ideas. I'll be serious now.
And I do have to say one thing that I noticed that Justin needs to survive with is creating a routine. So if you have a routine that you use at home that would be beneficial to help you get some sense of normalcy or dependability on how your day is going, make sure that you stick to your routine.
Yeah. Wake up at the same time. They're going to serve your meals for those hotels that serve meals. They're going to serve them rather regularly. So plan to eat at the same time. Get your morning routine down. Something that is consistent will really, really help. That's for sure.
I consistently order Food Panda.
So we tried to make this mental health aspect a little more playful, but in all seriousness, it's something that you certainly should tend to. And there is always support groups on Facebook that you can use to help you through your quarantine time. Reach out to them. In fact, it's one of the resources that we're going to link below is the Taiwanese quarantine support group. That is a good resource actually while you're preparing to move over to Taiwan and prepare yourself for quarantine. There are also some other resources that we're going to link in the description box below that, like Mr. Host, that can help you answer some questions about what's standard with quarantine.
And last but not least, I always want to leave this caveat. Things are always changing and being updated. So please refer to our previous 2 videos with links that will take you to the direct source of the government that they update every day. Any policy changes, any changes within the standards, any changes within the level alerts.
Right, keep yourself informed as best you can. Prepare.
When's the last time you did something for the first time?
Like quarantine in Taiwan.
That's not the first time. This is
my
probably
God.
the 15th or 16th time that we've quarantined in Taiwan.
You consider all the quarantines I've done in my life. Man, that's a lot of quarantining.
That's taken like years.
Lots of quarantine.
If we didn't quarantine, we would probably be like in the year 2012 right now. 2012, 2013.
It's a part of this lovely life of living abroad, and we wouldn't change it for anything.
So when's the last time you did something for the first time?
Remember, it's never too late to get up, get out, and get gone.
See you on the next video.